Well, hello everyone. Hope everyone had a good day today. Well, this is a video I was thinking about making a day or so ago and said, nah, I've talked about this subject before. But then again, I heard something like yesterday and actually this morning also, that was one of those tripwire things that I keep hearing stuff like this. And I keep trying to draw analogies to Germany back in the 20s and the not the early 30s yet, but during the 20s. And the tripwire this time was one I've heard before from a kind of, mainstream journalist being interviewed. And they're talking about, the 28 election and who would be probably the likely Republican nominee. And, J.D. Vance's name comes up, but then the person says, but that depends on if Trump runs again. And I've talked about this before, in that the Constitution now states that a president can serve no more than 2 terms. It doesn't say he can't serve, 2 consecutive ones. It says just simply one person cannot serve more than 2 terms. And Trump even kind of jokingly, again, talks about running for a third term. I've heard a couple of other people, including this latest journalist, that says, JD is probably the likely Republican. I can't talk tonight. Republican nominee, for the 28 election, unless Trump runs again. And I just keep seeing similarities between what's happening in this country with every day. It seems like, or every other day, I'm talking about or seeing, how this Democratic mayor or this Democratic governor or this Democratic senator or whoever, it doesn't matter what Democratic city, state, or county it's in, are blatantly, trying to ignore federal law. Some are trying to ignore decisions made by certain district courts because the court decided with Trump. You know, it's just, I'm seeing so many, they're not one-to-one parallels. They're not. So anyone trying to see exactly one-to-one correlation is not going to see it. But if you're looking for similarities, I'm seeing them all over the place of what's happening now and similarly what happened in Germany during the 20s. And then when this journalist comes up and says, well, unless Trump runs for a third time, well, folks, it's not going to happen if you follow the Constitution, because there just isn't time. Even if the idea was put up for vote in the states, I believe it's 2/3 of the states have to vote for it, and then it goes to Congress, and Congress has to approve it. Okay, that's not going to happen in the next year, because anyone who's going to be running for president, in about a year and a half, their campaign will start. So I still have in the back of my mind, and I've mentioned this in several videos in the past, that I cannot believe that Trump and his top advisors in the White House, and those are not, have not discussed the idea of running for a third term. And the question would be, well, how can you do that? And the answer is basically there's only one way. You declare martial law, you suspend the Constitution, and that the part saying you can't run more than 2 times doesn't apply. The Constitution is suspended. Then you can run, Am I saying that's going to happen? I am saying I'm hearing people more and more suggesting if Trump runs for a third term. Okay. And I keep, every time I hear this, okay, folks, things are going to happen before that can happen. And that's going to be by suspending the Constitution. And that's not going to happen unless you declare martial law. And that's just, about as simple as I can put it. So I am still curious, as to what's really going to happen. Is Trump going to really try? Is Trump right now, still, I cannot, find out if anytime these federal judges rule against the administration, is the administration abiding by it, or just saying basically, tough, we're going to do it anyway, you know? And sometimes I get the impression the administration is ignoring these federal court judges. Sometimes I think they're, kind of saying, okay, we'll delay it, we're going to appeal it, but until the appeal is heard and decided on, we're going to keep doing it. So I think there's probably, if not outright disobedience of these court judges' decisions, there's a lot of foot dragging. But again, I'm just not hearing enough. These reporters sometimes talk about the most meaningless stuff on some of these political talk shows. Now, granted, they're all out there, they're all over. I don't have enough time in any given day or week to watch even close to a fraction of them. They're all over the place. And maybe in some of these other podcasts, they are talking about it, but not the ones I follow. I select a couple few and go with that. I mean, again, there's so many out there. So anyway, my rambling's starting to ramble, but after hearing this one reporter again, I'm saying this for about the third or fourth time, if Trump runs again for a third term. So anyway, not saying he will, not saying he won't, but it's just, again, I keep seeing similarities to the Germany in the 20s. Other countries have gone through this also. They went through it in a little different formats and a little different ways, but still the infighting between the right and the left, when it got so bad, then things broke. And in Spain, it happened in 36 with the Civil War that lasted 3 years, killing hundreds of thousands. And it's happened in other countries too. Because they're not in Europe, you just don't hear about it. But it's happened in Asia and in several countries. So anyway, because most Americans don't know anything or don't care about Asia. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. But anyway, rambling's done at almost 7 minutes. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell and have a good one.